And let's start. Oh, hello. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Johnny Baghead, as always. And, gosh, the weekend. Oh, shit. Sorry there wasn't much notice on what the stream was going to be. I think I need to organize that a bit more. I'm really bad about scheduling stuff ahead of time. Probably like the prime example of that is it's my birthday tomorrow, and I think I might try. I think I am going to do a stream thing for it, but I don't have a plan, and I've not even tweeted out anything. I've mentioned it a couple of times on the stream, though. Like more day by day. I always mention, hey, follow me on Twitter for updates. I'm pretty sure like the vast majority of my followers are bots anyway. And I don't even know how they're fucking finding my account. But they're all like bots that are like, oh yeah, I'll make icons for you. I'll make emotes and blah, blah, blah. And I got like another one right when I went live. And it's like, oh, it's the same, like, all of them have this style. Like, one of their example pictures will always be, here's a shield with a character in front of it and text underneath. It kind of looks like a sports team logo, and it will always look the same. It's like, if you have all these bots that will follow an account, like multiple of them all showing like the same art assets, who the fuck do you think you're convincing there? I'm actually, even though like my community is small as it is, I'm actually thinking about starting a Discord for stuff, just for the sole fact of like, here it is. If anything ever happens with Twitter, I would not be shocked if one day it just imploded, because who fucking knows at this point. And it is such a shit show to follow people now that, you know, you can pay money to get pushed into people's algorithms, and the kind of people who do that are the worst, fucking worst kind of people, most of them. Not everyone, granted, but how often it's like your tweets, like any kind of just like, not even like that controversial of a tweet, and how often, like, it will be all the blue check marks that are pushed to the top of the replies that are people saying, like, heinous, essentially rule-breaking stuff. Like, the amount of times where it's like they're actually, like, saying shit that's against Twitter's TOS. I don't know if my stuff even shows up to people. Plus, like, I don't know if I should be hashtagging stuff on Twitter. I don't know, but I don't really know what like the best alternative is to Twitter right now, because the main thing I want it for is just like updates. I want to give updates to people on the stream. It's the best way to like see what's going ahead of time, and also like random thoughts. But I find that a lot of the time when I want to talk about stuff on Twitter, random thoughts like potential streaming ideas or things I'm working off stream, or just random opinions. Like I wanted to talk about my replay of Death Stranding, but I realized it's like, yeah, I want to talk about replaying Death Stranding. That's probably going to be, but I notice the way I talk in tweets, that's going to be like 50 posts. That's going to be like a 50 post thread or some shit. So yeah, I've really got to start thinking of a different site to use. But anyway, don't worry about that. We'll figure out birthday stuff tomorrow. I'll talk about it now though. There's a chance I might, I think I'm going to try and stream on YouTube just to see what it's like. Probably do some test stuff during the day, because I don't really have any grand plans for the birthday. You know, it coming on a Sunday as well. Also, it's Father's Day, the same day. So that's gonna, most people are gonna be thinking about that. Not me, obviously, but, you know, other people. So, yeah, I don't know. But today, now, this has been a time coming, and I did say this was going to happen around my birthday, is we did the playthrough of Team Eco's first game, Eco, right? We did the HD collection. Now, one of the reasons for that is I wanted to do the 3 games, you know, Eco, Shadow Colossus, and The Last Guardian. And the plan was, when we got to this game, I was like, you know what? I didn't want to do the remake because I wanted to kind of talk about how it's a decent remake, but there are some issues with kind of like visual design changes in that. And I wasn't going to do the HD collection version, mainly because there's some like minor gameplay changes that make it a little harder. Plus, considering what I saw were the differences between like Eco, PS2 and HD with a lot of text changes and other stuff. Not changes, but you know, because of doubling up textures or some lighting changes, there were some changes there. So I was going to commit to, you know what, I'll do the playthrough on original hardware. After doing some test stuff though, I'm not so convinced I will be able to do a whole playthrough. It's one of those things where when I would have played it back in the day, I'm trying to think when you got to a point where frame rates were really standard. Fuck, we haven't really got to that point yet either. But like early 3D, obviously you were kind of always expecting to get low frame rates in pretty much everything outside of like some fighting games, and even then you weren't guaranteed to get good frame rates in some 3D fighting games. PS2, it's the early PlayStation 2, you actually did get pretty good frames per second, but it didn't take long for like when probably like a year or two, probably about 2 to 3 years in, where you started getting kind of like, oh well, we're actually going to kind of push the hardware more and not really care about frame rate anymore. And it wasn't really something that was as discussed back then. Like, people wouldn't really look at a game and go like, oh well, this game doesn't run, you know, the whole like 60 versus 30, people just, I don't really have any memory of people really bringing that kind of thing up, even if like the difference was minor, where like if a game ran at like slightly below 30 but locked. I think Shadow Colossus though was one of the really early ones where it was, you gave it a pass at the time, it was like very obvious this barely runs on this system, being such an ambitious game. And after doing some kind of test stuff, I think it's a lot harder for me to put up with. I could mess with, you know, like emulation to potentially boost the frame rate that way, which I think is an option, but also it looks like it'd be a lot harder. So we're going to mess with it today, but I think when we do start the Shadow of Colossus playthrough, we're probably going to just play the HD version. But this stream will be, if we do that, which we probably, like I said, we probably will, but this stream will be quite useful for that because we'll have a ton of reference footage. We're just going to kind of jump around, look at a bunch of stuff with this. I just need to quickly grab my phone, actually. I just realised I didn't put it on silent. One sec. You guys wait there. Ugh. Alright. Okay, let me, oh, sorry. Let me plug myself back in. Let's see if I can do this. Sometimes I can do this, like, very quickly, and then sometimes this takes me, like, ages. Aha! Alright. Alright, well, we're about to get into this. Let me just get a bit more comfortable. There we go. So, as the title suggests, we are playing on real hardware. I've got the PlayStation 2. It's literally on the desk here. But we are playing backups like I typically do with PlayStation 2 games. But I do have my copy here. It's going to look funny because of green screen, so I apologize. But this is my original copy. Sorry it's flipped, but here it is. I don't remember if all PAL copies were like this, but this is a bit different for a PlayStation 2 game because it's actually, if you look, it's a cardboard case. You can see, obviously, because it got dinned up quite easily. It is nice to have a different case, but obviously, you know, it's a bit more fragile. One of the main issues I have with this, though, it only bothers me. Well, actually, it probably bothers a few people, but barely anyone. Is it's slightly thinner than a normal DVD case. So when you like put it in the shelf, it kind of like messes up the balance of how many games you can fit in. Because it's slightly thinner. I did want to have a quick look at this though. Because this is a really nice packaging we have here. There's some like really cool screenshots. I believe this is a screenshot of the entrance to like the Forbidden Land, which is the main place the game takes place. There's a screenshot of one of the Titans. Got our manual, of course. Here's the advert on the back saying, hey, buy Eco. None of you motherfuckers brought this game. You should buy it. And they're right. Though, unfortunately, I don't think I ever did. But, you know, I still need to get a PS2 copy of that. But it also came with a bunch of postcards. With a bunch of the different Titans on them. There's the flying one. I'm bad with the names, so I don't know the names of any of these. You know, this one is kind of hard to tell which one this is. It's really dark, this image, so I'm actually not sure. But, you know, the little stylized ones. This one's really good. I really like this one. The green screen's gonna hate it, but that one's really nice. I might take pictures of these and post these on Twitter later. Oh, this is the first Titan. This is the first one you fight. It's kind of hard to see, but it's just the silhouette. But I just want to show that off because I don't know if this specific release, you know, this like paper, well, sorry, not paper, but this cardboard case with the postcards and the slip over the top. I don't know if this came out in all regions or if every PAL print of the game was even like this. That was definitely something you had to deal with, like for example, like Silent Hill 2 for PlayStation 2. I think only certain versions came with the making of DVD. Like I think the first PAL release came with the making of DVD, but I don't think the NTS, I think Greatest Hits came with it, but not the original release. Metal Gear Solid 2 had a similar thing where there was the document of Metal Gear Solid 2, and I believe the PAL version of Metal Gear Solid 2, the base game, didn't have that DVD or something. So you had to buy subsistence to get it. There's some weird stuff with how the releases were for that stuff back in the day. But yeah. But yeah, we're not running off the disc, so we might get slightly better load times than we would have got on real hardware. I'm not sure. Pretty sure we have not got anything that's going to improve the frame rate though. But let's here we are. How's my volume looking? Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. So I actually have this running in widescreen today. I messed around with some settings, and no, it doesn't make much sense to me. From what I can tell, this game does not actually run any worse in the widescreen mode. Even though it is actual true widescreen, it actually does render more on screen. Oh. Oh, my eyebrow is really itchy. What's that, Baghead? You don't have fucking eyebrows, you numpty. Yeah, I don't. My law's, I'm not very good at keeping up the pretense of my law. Oh. There we go. I found a solution. Oh, yeah. This intro is actually interesting because this is, so this character here is called Wanda. W-A-N-D-A. This is him and the horse here, Agro. A-G-R-O. Coming into the Forbidden Land. But you never go to any of the geometry that you see at the start here. Aside from this bridge, you can get back onto this bridge. I don't know if you can do it in all versions, though, or only certain stuff. But once you start the game, that doorway there, that closes up. But yeah, this intro movie has a lot of, like, and I think it's something weird where people have found the files to let them teleport into the opening areas, but there's no actual collision there. It's like it's hand animated, so the model's technically just floating on nothing. But there we go. So we talked about this a bit, but I really wanted to showcase how this original game looked. We probably will stream the remake someday, but this is good to see because it shows you, like, there is a difference in art direction between this and the remake, though not as egregious as Blue Point's Demon Souls remake that just threw the entire original game's art direction out the window. Just like no care was put into that. But this is proper widescreen. I'll show it when we go in. This is the PAL version, but we are running at this, we are in NTSC 60 Hz mode. Apparently there's some minor changes in the PAL version to like the world and stuff. I think it's like based on a later build, like a slightly later build. But we're just gonna load a save file here. Now, funny enough, we're gonna load my normal save file. This is my original save from when I first beat the game. This one here. This is like right at the start of the second playthrough, but without anything defeated. This is the hard mode playthrough where I played some of this off stream just to kind of see how it is. But we'll start with this. And let's just see how it goes. So yeah, here we are. Here we are as a Wanda here. Okay. So we're already going to see kind of what the performance of this is. I'm not running, so if you're new to the stream, or if you're, you know, VOD channel. Hello VOD channel. But if you're new, my way I capture PlayStation 2, and I kind of have to do it this way because of how my capture card works. Unfortunately, my capture card, it can pick up interlaced PlayStation 2, but it cannot pick up progressive. And also, and maybe there is a way to fix this, but the deinterlacers that are built in to OBS tend to degrade the image in a way that I don't like. Maybe my capture card can pick up a 480 progressive signal. I just haven't found a way of doing it, and then in time I do look up stuff for it. It seems to claim that it's not possible. But yeah, this is where you would start the game. You see this cutscene. Hang on. Local Aglo over. Much like Eco, we have a call button, but our escort this time is our trusty steed here. Let's Just make sure I got my... Yep. This is back in the era. Okay, here we go. Why are there fireworks going off? UK is like very strict. You're not supposed to launch fireworks like outside of certain seasons. But yeah, the opening cutscene has you come down this spiral staircase. And you can ride all the way back up. And I think at certain points in the game you can go on the bridge. But as soon as you get to the other end, you're blocked. So this is quite a different game from Eco. Eco was like kind of like a Prince of Persia out of this world style platformer puzzler, but 3D. You could also maybe compare it to like Tomb Raider to a certain extent. This is a very different game though. It's still mostly a puzzle game, and it still does have its platforming elements, but it's more of like an exploration puzzle game. But the gimmick is you come here, this is an area known as the Forbidden Lands, and you come here with this... Hang on, let me get off the horse. I forget her name, sadly, because I'm terrible with names, and we haven't seen the cutscene here. But you come here with this girl here, who is dead, and there's a legend that you can revive dead people here. There's like a forbidden spell or something. And there's this like god voice kind of thing that you hear from up there. That tells you, hey, there's 6 Colossi in this land. If you defeat them all, I can bring your you know, your loved one back to life. And the first thing you get is this sword here. And this light. And what this is that by using light, and you actually have to be in light. If you try this when you're in like shadow, it won't work as well, or it just won't work. That tells you where to go. And that's where like some of the exploration puzzle elements come. Let's just head off for like the first Colossus though. Oh. So the first thing you probably notice over Eco is just like the kind of animation style, where it's like procedural and stuff like that, vastly improved in this. Doesn't look jerky anymore. The one behind the scenes thing that I know about this, and we mentioned this in the Eco playthrough, is in the Eco intro, they actually motion captured horses, and apparently it wasn't worth it. It was actually pretty bad for development, because it meant, you know, if the take they had wasn't good, they would have to manually like tweak the animation and fix it. So instead for this is all like a hand animated, procedurally done animation, where it's like dynamic done, and it ends up looking like a lot better. Considering like aggro is such an integral part of this game, he's how you get around. He's also integral to a couple of fights. It makes sense they put a lot of time into it, but also just like Wander's animations in general. There's the main temple. I've never done it, and I don't know if I will do it on stream, but there's a whole thing where you can climb this tower, but you need a crazy amount of stamina, or you need to be really good at a type of glitch jump, and I've never learned how to do it. But I just want to quickly show. So, on the PlayStation 2, a lot of games that did, quote, widescreen modes actually didn't do widescreen. What they would do is they would take a 4:3 image, which I can kind of show what that would look like. Hang on. So you would have a 4:3 image like this, right? And the way they would, I don't know, I think the easiest way for me to do this is do this. No. Okay. So let me go back in the gameplay. this is basically how the game would look if it was in 4x3 mode, and how a lot of PlayStation 2 games would make themselves 16:9 is they would just... Actually, that's probably too much. Probably about 100? Yeah. Is they would just do this. They would just cut the top and the bottom of the image off. So it's like, oh, it's a widescreen image now. But all it's doing is just cutting the tops off the screen, so less is being rendered on the screen, so you can't see as much. But turns out this is one of the few PlayStation 2 games, and I'm kind of surprised with how the performance is, where the 16:9 mode is actual drawing, it's rendering more on screen. If I go into the options here and swap it to 4x3, because of the way my converter works, which I forgot to explain, I should get to that. If you look, you can see here, if I line the camera up a certain way, there we go. So if you look to the right of the screen, like just above me there, you can see how the edge of the temple there is just cut off. If I actually swap to 4x3 mode here, see, it actually does pull the camera back out and renders more on screen. So it is an actual true widescreen mode. But I did some like minor tests, because the thing you'll notice with this open area is the frame rate's mostly consistent until you look here. And I didn't really see any notable changes to the frame rate in the two different modes. So we'll stick with this for now. But yeah, so because my capture card can't pick up a 480p signal, and the deinterlace effects that are built into OBS tend to not be great for this era. It might be better for like older consoles, but for PlayStation 2, it's not great. So I use it's the Hyperkin cable, and it's a HDMI converter, but it actually does upscale the output and deinterlaces it. And obviously it's not the nicest image you could get. If you have like RetroTink and a bunch of other like really expensive custom built hardware, you can get like a raw signal out that gets like deinterlaced with like built-in chips and stuff. Obviously I don't have the money for that. This works fine. This is grand. But this game actually does have a progressive scan mode. I don't know how it runs, if it runs better or worse though. I don't know enough about the hardware and how those modes work to say if progressive scan tends to like make games run better or worse. All right. So just for the record, that's where the first Colossi is. We're not going to meet the Colossus first. I'm just going to mess around here for a bit. Kind of look. So I think back in the day, I didn't actually know about this, which I think probably means I did not read the manual. So that's on me. So first I'll explain. This is a New Game Plus save file. You do not start off with this amount of stamina and health on the base game. You have way less. But every time you do a New Game Plus, so even if you change difficulty, your health and stamina carry over, and even on a New Game Plus, every time you defeat a boss or the other things you can do to increase like your health and stamina, it still affects it. Oh, look at that. I think there is a fruit there that I never got. Let's see, I came up this way, but I think this is actually probably the wrong thing to do. But I can stay up here just to... Oh. Oh. I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, I think there's only one fruit here. So yeah, if I aim up here. Oh, now that I've jumped down, I can't see it. Hold on, where is it? Darn it. Hold on, let me go back up. I always remember this being kind of the issue with the first tree here. That from certain angles it's actually like kind of hard to. So yeah, that's how much stamina like a normal jump uses. If you've only played the remake, you're probably actually not used to the stamina bar looking like this. It's a bar in the PS4 remake, whereas here it's a... Wait, hang on. I thought I saw a fruit. Did I really knock it down? I might have already knocked it over. Oh yeah, there it is. There we go. So, it's very tiny, but those fruits actually increase your max health by a tiny bit. And you can actually go out of your way and kind of look around and find them. Though there's not much in this first area. What we're at here, and we'll kind of move around a bit, but this actually was the demo area, at least for the PAL version. I think no, I think the NTSC demo also used this area, but this is definitely kind of your like get used to the controls, get used to the game mechanics kind of area. Is the kind of like square plateau that this first stuff is on. Is the... I forget what the name of it is, but it does kind of remind me of... Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit, but it kind of reminds me that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah, there's a path there, but that's blocked off. I kind of want to mess around with some of the demo stuff. Specifically, there is a in development build of this game that got leaked some years ago. I think like probably about a decade ago now. And I really want to give that a look. Here's some of the other paths. We're just going to ride around for a little bit, and then we're going to get into actually fighting stuff. But you do get a good idea of like what the draw distance was like. It's definitely, I'll say myself that I think my memories are more so of the PS3 HD remaster. And I think that, for example, like, the draw distance is a bit better. Because, like, yeah, see how, like, close some of the pop-in will happen? Like, we weren't even that far away. Oh, there's a bird. I always like that. The birds will sometimes just start following you. Yeah, so you don't even have to get that far away for pop-in to happen. And it's kind of funny, actually, like, because of how, like, short that pop-in distance is, in some of the demos and the pre-release versions, there's instances of, where low detail stuff will pop out of existence because it's from an earlier build where they were going to have, like, oh, this build originally had a statue here, but it got removed at some point, but the low poly version of the map still has it. So, like, you run towards, like, certain save things and things like that. Try and remember if there's anything over here. The reason why I'm kind of doing this is that this is from my memory. It's probably not the first example. So I'm definitely not going to claim it was. But it's one of the earlier examples I can think of where a game has an open world, or maybe better term to use as an open map, where it's not filled with like objectives or like mission markers or collectibles. Though you could argue like the fruits, and there's also lizard tails you can eat that improve your stamina. So you have to look out. It's lizards that have white tails. But the exploration of the world and looking at the world and kind of paying attention to how the environment's laid out is the main, you know, like gameplay. You know, gotta go back to this style. I think that's covering my face too much. Gotta see my bag face. You gotta. This early bit is like very familiar to me though, because I played the PAL demo for this so many times, even though that demo was literally I think it's kind of a little hard to see. Hang on. If you look, you can see the map's like broken up into squares. The demo map was very limited. It was only about 9 squares. I think it might have even technically been less than that, because like all the bridges were blocked off. And if you got too far out, demo would just apparently crashes if you use cheap devices to like go out of bounds. But it was mainly just this little opening plateau and this one Colossus, and most of the other stuff actually wasn't like even in the files. I don't think we're going to see all the prompts here. But, what I do love about this is, this is essentially the game's, like, tutorial. Not specifically like the Colossus fight even. Though obviously it's like the first fight to kind of get you used to things. But just this platforming section, you actually don't do too much platforming in game. There is like some levels and areas or boss fights where that's the main thing, yeah. Because this isn't a new game. We're not seeing the button prompts come up there. But the whole point of like this opening little section here is they're like, here, practice jumping, gaps, jumping and grabbing, climbing on like grassy areas. Here's a bit that is to show you like, oh, here's you shimmying across. And doing like, here's one jump from another. And I really like it because it's stuff that you need to learn how to do for certain Colossi. But they don't just put you in like a training mode. They don't have a fucking like secondary character. Aggro doesn't start talking and say, hey, 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 Wanda, here's how you do the wall jump and stuff like that. Oh, that would be funny to see. But yeah, here we go. Here's our first boy. Look, there's birds. They're for scale. That's a... This is definitely not the first thing to do it, but this is like an old, like, cinema technical stuff of just like, hey, if you want to give people a good idea of the size of something, you put birds near to it. Most people know what, like, a pigeon or a seagull or a crow, they know kind of the rough size of that. So, it's a good way to show scale. But, yeah, so, when this would have come out, this was 2005. Seeing like boss fights, and they were like actual boss fights, the ones that weren't kind of like just set piece levels that were kind of tricking you. Like, this is a walking being, like AI here. Like interacting, like moving around, being rendered on the screen. And this was this was really crazy to see. And this is not even like the biggest this game gets. Like, this is actually like a little tame compared to some of the other stuff. I think like even the second I think even the second Colossus is like... Oh, I forgot I never put my sword here. There we go. So what you are supposed to do, and I should show this, is you're supposed to use the light mode on the sword. Here we go. And that will show you where weak points are. Also the music as well, and the fact it's dynamic, it changes like as you hit certain phases in the fight. And it's such a good soundtrack because, you know, Eco did not have much music. It had title screen, it had the attract mode music, it had the end credits music, and then like some cutscene tracks, and the like shadow fight track. Also, when you have the sword equipped, when you get near these glyphs, these are the weak points. They start to glow. But the way this works is, yeah, is you can charge the sword up. Also, I think because my stamina is so high, that's why I did so much damage there. And you tap it once and you start charging. And that's that circle then. And when you press again, you... Yep. It's a second charge. I'm also going to load up some of the time trials to kind of mess with it. I'm just going to do a few here. I might swap to the... I'm actually thinking when I do the full playthrough, I might actually do it on hard mode. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's not good. I might try and do a hard mode playthrough. So what hard mode does is it gives the Colossi like a lot more health. Yeah, we'll save. But it also gives them new weak points. So for example, for that fight, you don't just win the fight by stabbing it in the head. It actually has a second glyph, I believe, like on its shoulder or on its arm. Some of the hard mode fights are really interesting. You have to do some like pretty crazy stuff to get to where the glyphs are, or you have to kind of do some inventive stuff to save you how much stamina you need. Yeah, you know what? I've seen footage of this game running in the progressive mode. I think that makes the frame rate worse. We'll see, because some of the worst of it I remember seeing was in the in some of the other fights. Once they start using like bigger arenas. But I really got to think about like why this game was so impactful on me. Like, this is still my favorite PlayStation 2 game. And one of my favorite games of all time. I won't claim it's the best PlayStation 2 game. You know, because it does have its flaws. Mainly due to, you know, it's pushing so hard on the hardware that it can barely keep up. Yep, in a seaside cave, it moves slowly. This is Dorian, who tells you about where to go and gives you like little hints. Yeah. But I think this was also the first game I probably played that really had environmental storytelling as its like main way of telling stories, because though there are cutscenes, the cutscenes are pretty basic in terms of the information they convey. Like, there's the opening cutscene that just kind of tells you, like, oh, this is why Wanda's here, and here's that voice from above telling you, oh, here's what you have to do to save your girl. But like, a lot of what's actually going on and the story with this land and thing like that is never talked about in a cutscene. You never see Wanda, like, talk out loud or think about the stuff he's seeing or doing. It's all for the player to infer from, like, context and look at the environments. But yeah, like, every time you defeat a Colossi, you defeat a Colossus. Colossi is the plural. That's more than one. But every time you do, the statues here break. But these are statues for all 16. I'm curious about it. Hang on, if I go to the end. I am really curious to look at the HD version of this afterwards. I wonder if they... Okay. They might have remodeled, or maybe... I'll have to look at the differences. So, this is more of an insider thing, but, like, one of the big things about Shadow of Colossus is the fact it was known that the game originally was supposed to have a lot more boss fights. You know, it wasn't supposed to just be the 16 Colossi. I think the original pitch was for 48 or something crazy like that. And then at one point, and I think this is when they actually, like, mainly started working on the game, it got pared down to around 22 to 24. I think for a while it was kind of unknown what the exact number is, but I think now it's known to be 24. No, unfortunately, as far as people can see, there aren't any builds that have, like, those fights in them working. Though there is some stuff that's leaked out that has, like, maybe early models or screenshots and stuff like that. But in one of the preview things, this room actually has, like, the 8 extra statues in it. Alright, let's do another one, and then we can show some of the other weird extra stuff. But yeah, just... It's such an interesting thing where navigating the open world and taking the world in and kind of enjoying it for what it is the focus of the open world. This is one of the first games where I can recall that being the case. And, you know, it wasn't until stuff like some of the Souls stuff, obviously Elden Ring's like one of the big ones. Breath of the Wild does that as well to an extent. But this is like one of the earliest examples I can think of it. Also, I do love the way that works, that when you're focusing the light, you can kind of see the world gets a little darker because you're kind of like all the light's focusing on you, and then when you stop it, it lights up again. I think there are more differences than the ones I mentioned, but apparently there's like one area where a bridge was added that was originally like a cliff edge or something. I should mention as well the aggro controls is I think they're done similar to the feeling they wanted to evoke with oh god, I'm bad. We just played it. I forgot the name of the girl from Eco. Was it Fira? I don't think that's right. Oh. But they wanted to kind of evoke that idea of like, oh no, this is a character who follows you and you have to help out, but they have their own mind. Aggro doesn't feel like you're controlling him. It feels like you're controlling Wanda, giving him commands. So the controls are like pretty simple. Is you just have the X button and tapping it, you know, like you kick the side and you can kind of control his speed. And you use the analog stick to kind of like push him left and right. But he has his own mind, so for example, if you like try and push him near a cliff edge, he'll like turn away. Or if you go on something like too narrow, he refuses to gallop at full speed and stuff like that. I could see it being possibly annoying for some people, because it'll kind of feel like, oh, he's broken, he doesn't do what he says. But I think it does a better job of evoking the idea that, like, oh, this is... You're not just controlling the horse. Like, you actually are having to kind of negotiate with the horse, tell it what to do. Alright, so yeah, we're going in there. Oh, here we go. Yeah, look at those glorious frames. I'm curious to look it up. I really want to find out info about it. About like how, like what are the actual frame rates this hits. Also, yeah, you can attack and do stuff from the horse. There we go. So that's actually the faster way to do it. This fight you actually are supposed to bait. There's an attack this Colossus will do, where it will like go up on its hind legs, and that's when you're supposed to shoot at the glowing spots. Funny enough, like this and God of War kind of at the same time, I feel like was when people started kind of like making memes about like, oh, here's this giant boss. Oh, how do you defeat it? Oh, it has a glowing... Oh. That does happen sometimes. It feels like when you're trying to jump, you're trying to climb up, and instead the game thinks you're trying to go sideways. Oh. So yeah, so that's kind of like, once you're climbing on top of them, it's more puzzle of managing your stamina, paying attention to the way it moves, because it'll try and buck and shake you off. Obviously, because I'm playing a New Game Plus save here, I have a lot more stamina to contend with. I'll show you. I will show just what it's like with like fresh stamina here. I think it might be that we do more damage because the bar can charge further. God, this music's so good though. Should look up the name of the composer here. Oh yeah, so this is the first Colossus where it has more than one glyph. So, yeah, we took care of the head, but that's not the only part. And this actually does point you to the weak point. I think I remember. I think the weak point is on its tail. Oh. Oh, oh, that almost went bad. I don't know. I'm trying to think why people are a lot more forgiving of kind of this game running at like very variable, weird frame rates. I know the game does a lot of like animation blur stuff to kind of hide it. You'll notice that once the frame rate dips a bit, you'll see like a more after image on some of the animation of the like Wanda moving around. There's an actual name for that kind of animation style. When you, where you kind of like exaggerate and like create extra motion. Like when someone's hand moves, you actually like draw in extra, like the hand stretching out and stuff like that. I've always been curious about this. Where is he? You know what? I think he actually despawns. I've always wondered if you could hack the game, what would happen if you got on aggro during that section? Like, how far away can you actually get before you get, like, stabbed there? Like, can you... I'd be really curious to see if you could ever trick the game into not getting taken in. Funny enough as well, I think because I saw some footage of the NTSC version of this game, I don't think that does, like, the slowdown on the final stab. When I saw footage of it, that bit looked different. Unless that's just what happens when you put the game into progressive scan mode. But also just this game looks like... If it wasn't for the frame rate, I think you would kind of almost question this being a PlayStation 2 game, because it just, the model details look so good. I think like in some places Wonder, you can see where they cut polygons on him, but like the aggro model looks so good. The anger of the sleeping giant shudders the earth. The Colossus, the specific Colossus, but the Colossi in general, like they're modeled really well. That kind of like fur texture stuff they do. A lot of texture quality in general. I am curious though to see if the HD version, if they like upscaled any of the textures, or if they did what Eco did where they doubled them up. Though I could see that looking a bit weird here to have these bricks be like half the size. Like aggro especially. Oh yeah, get the camera a bit close. If you point the arrow at him, he actually will freak out. But this is still like a really impressive model for PlayStation 2, and they're doing all the like hair physics stuff. You typically didn't see that kind of... Obviously, it's not that special by today's standards, but you tended not to see that in games of this bigger scope. Like, when I think of games that do that, I think of, like, Tekken 4, Tekken 5. But they're, you know, like, way smaller environments, way less on the screen. They're optimizing frame rate there, because those games, you know, run at 60 FPS. Alright, oh, I think I know which one this is. Okay. Yeah, I remember which one this is. Funny enough, being near the outside of the big temple there, actually seems to be what is the worst thing for the frame rate. I'm getting better with it though, because I saw some footage. I think like if you're able to get like close up enough to some Colossi, some I don't know which specific one, but some of them, when you're like at their feet, is where you can like really see some crazy like frame drops and stuff like that. I'm really curious if the HD version does up the draw distance. Because, you know, having this game run at lock 60 is obviously, like, huge. But also, if being able to see this game with without some of that weird, like... You can see, like, if you look at the bottom side there, on both sides, you can kind of see the layers of fog kind of coming in. Because there's not, like, a gradual tone with the fog. It's just, like, different levels in there. You saw some pop in on the cliff side there. There you go. That's an example of, yeah, if you're not... That's an example of, yeah, if you're not in sunlight, you don't, you don't get, the full sword thing. Yeah, I should explain, though, the camera control is kind of weird in this game. You do get, like, a full... Like, look up, down, left, right, like, right analog stick camera. But it definitely moves... It has weight to it. Like, it has momentum. I think this is one of the first Colossus This Colossus might be the first one where you actually get a chance to kind of find some stuff outside. Like, I think this is the first time we start to find, like, save points. Also, like, yeah, these ground textures are also, like, really nice at the time. I do remember, also, we got, like, a pretty good-looking shadow as well. You can definitely see how they've done it, where I think the shadow there is, like, a lower poly cast. I could be wrong, but it looks like it. Yeah, we're going this way. I'm trying to remember all the tricks you can do, though. You know, I might look at the manual for that. Hang on. Try and remember if the manual has them all. There's actually a lot of, like, weird stunts and other things you can do with aggro that the game just doesn't tell you. Let's see if the manual mentions it. Okay. We're just gonna let aggro do his thing. But just the art direction as well. Like, they do such a good job of kind of like playing with the limitations and pushing the system as far as it can. Obviously, the kind of overbloomed look that Team Eco loves to do in their games, I think kind of helps to hide some of the really low poly stuff in the background as well. All right, let's see. Okay, nope. That's how you put the disc in the console. We know how to do that. Okay, what do they mention about the buttons? Camera reset, camera zoom, yeah, lock on target, grab, attack, jump, mount horse, circle is action. No, Shadow Colossus does not support a digital controller. Yeah, yep, knew that. That's how to crouch and evade. Jump, swimming, climbing. I should mention as well, like, the layout of this manual is unique, where you see, like, they don't necessarily keep the text in the same place. They kind of move it around based on the pictures. Okay, so to slow aggro down here, you push back on the left stick like you're pulling on the reins. Oh, here we go. When on horseback, you can duck by pressing and holding the R1 button. Also, you can stand on aggro by pressing and holding the R1 button and pushing the left stick hip up. You can also use weapons on aggro, as we showed. And some of the Colossus, there's like one or two specific Colossus where you have to start the fight off that way as well. Yep, using the bow. Okay, so there are some other moves. There we go. So yeah, so you have to hold R1 here and then push forward. You have to keep holding R1 though. You don't have to keep holding up, but you have to hold R1. I think you can, yeah, you can actually attack from this view as well. And I think you can use this to, like, jump and get more height, yeah. There's some other moves. There's like a way to make him go up on his hind legs and go into, like, full sprint. But I actually don't know how to do it because it's not in the manual. And I know you can do it because one of the versions, I forget which one, but it's a trophy in one of the versions. Where they're like, oh yeah, do this stunt move. But I'll have to look that up. I don't remember how to do it. But yeah, again... Oh, there's a lizard. I don't think that's a white-tailed lizard, though. I think that's just a regular one. Yeah, you're a regular lizard. But it is just such an interesting world. I think it's something where... I think it could have been seen as a negative by some people at certain times. Or it'd be hard... Maybe it'd be hard to put a game out like this nowadays. That the barren nature of the world. I could see some people not thinking is a good thing. But it's really to give the idea of just life has not touched this area. And I think they even talk about that in the intro and in the manual. That this forbidden place no one's been to for centuries. And it's almost devoid of life. Like, there's birds, and there's these lizards, and that's it. Even, like, the vegetation is, like, quite sparse. Like, there's a lot of trees that are, like, barely hanging on, or are completely without leaves, kind of thing. Honestly, it's a good... It's also why you don't really get music outside of once you run into Colossus, and I think that's... a run into a Colossus, and I think that's that works for this. It really gives off the idea of just, you know, you're alone. There's really nothing going on. Also, this was... You can still do this a bit, but PlayStation 2 was definitely a time where you could do more, like, minimal UI HUD stuff like this. Because this game, you know, has all this UI element, but most of the time, it's hidden and only comes out in, like, very specific instances. Let's check this tree out. Oh. Nah, that's just a regular lizard again. Ah, here we go. Look, there's fruit. So yeah, there's 2 fruit here. If you want them, you have to shoot them down like that. And then you can go down here. Then you press circle, and then boop. And you can actually... That does actually make, like, quite a noticeable difference to the health bar. Also, there's different fruit on here. I don't know if these do anything, though. I think these might only heal you. Let's see. Oh, no. Those give you more health, too. But, yeah, in your first playthrough, you can only really find those by, exploring around. And I just read through the manual. The manual doesn't actually mention them. It almost feels like it's designed that you're only really supposed to find out about those by doing the time trial. We'll do this next fight now. I'll head to it. And then we'll talk about the time trial stuff. I think I, like, barely messed with the time trial when I originally played this. As you can see, this save file doesn't have any time trial stuff on it. My hard mode one does, but that's mainly from like playing it after the fact. Though when I did load up this save, I did have a little bit of progress on the hard mode time trial. We'll load that up as well, because some of the items actually are different. Oh yeah, here we go. But it's, yeah, it's just, this game builds atmosphere and you know, tells its story by just the world it presents in front of you and stuff like that so well. It's very much the same kind of stuff I enjoy in, you know, like PS2 era Silent Hill. You know, the original Team Silent stuff. But yeah. And this area is interesting because it's like very bleak and dark. In fact, you know, your sword does not even work here. But, you know, the camera there's smart enough. It tells you, yeah, go this way. Yeah, you can just swim here. You hold R1, you do this. It's kind of fascinating as well. I don't know why, but I find it interesting that when you do that, the camera, like, automatically goes underwater with you. Some of the way the camera works actually feels like they're trying to evoke the idea. It almost feels like you have a documentary crew with you. Obviously, that's not in lore. That's definitely not what's happening. I haven't talked about it too much, but this game is canonically... I think it's something where they've never fully explicitly said, but it's canonically, this is before Eco. In fact, I think it's supposed to be, like, quite a long time before Eco, like, generations before. Alright, well, let's see what happens here, because this is a jump I tend to fuck up. Yep. I think you have to hold the jump button, and I forget to hold it. I was messing with the PS3 version, and I fucked up that jump there as well. I don't know why, just... I always mess that one up. But that's such a nice touch as well, how the sound changes once the camera dips underwater. Also, I think this would have been like some of the early examples, seeing a game where the amount of distance and world size they could do means, you know, for example, I believe that structure... Hang on. Let me swap to the bow. I believe that's the main temple that you start in, and just the fact that, you know, they've designed the world in a way where, you know, it's... I don't know if it's even, like, an actual model at that point, or if it's just a texture, but just the way they've laid it out, where you can see stuff from further away. Oh no, that's yeah, you can see more of it now. From certain places, you can see that long bridge that covers, like, most of the map. Yeah. I think you actually do get more jump height if you hold your jump. Oh. Okay, yep. I don't know why that sometimes happens, because I was pushing the stick right there. Let me test it out quick. Let me see. That's a hell jump. Oh yeah, you definitely jump high if you hold it. Okay. This is also one of my favorite intros for a Colossus here. This is like, where is it? Oh. It turns out, like, not all of them, but quite a lot of the Colossi weren't even active before you get here. Like, most of them were completely just dormant, sleeping, or just wandering around doing their own thing. 2 of them we've seen so far have been hostile, but there's even some you start running into later on. And there's a lot going on with it, but there's ones you run into that are, don't even, like, bother you unless you start attacking them. This guy does. But yeah, so his gimmick is he's got all this, like, armor on him. But you can't immediately climb onto him. But you have to force him to attack that plate in the middle. Though I think you actually can get up to him without breaking it. I think if you, there's some, like, really crazy physics stuff you can kind of do in this game. Oh. Where, I don't... Here, let me try it here. No. But you can... There is some, like, really... Yeah, here's where the frame rate, like, really dips. Yeah. This is probably the worst of it. Okay. This is confirmed then. I've seen footage of this game running in the progressive scan mode. It does run worse. But here, you can kind of see once the frame rate dips, you can definitely see on Wanda that they put more motion blur on him. Okay, I think I need to get a bit further away from him. So yeah, though you do have camera control, it does also want to point the camera in certain places. Probably the most useful button here is the L1 button. Because you just hold it down and it just starts. Here, let me move this way. Yeah, now we got a better look at back where we've come from. Yeah, see, actually the camera starts to move on its own there. Okay, well that's bad because I can't jump up right there. I need him to attack a different spot. There we go. Funny enough, like, one of the things with the frame rate is a lot of people, I think, were kind of forgiving of it. Because in a weird, like... Yep. Oh, okay, so I did it a little bit there. You kind of saw I gained height there on the jump. Oh, why are you jumping down, Wanda? There we go. Oh! See, it happened there again. But the camera will kind of take... Oh, darn it. The camera will take some control from you when it wants to show things to you and kind of point you in directions. I think even the remake still does that. Like, if you have the camera pointed away from it, there we go. When it's like here, it actually purposely focuses the camera on this Colossus here, so you know this attack's coming. It's a really smart design thing that oh, darn it. Okay, I was too slow there. Like the lower frame rate, though, it does kind of add to the Colossus. For some reason, it kind of... It's obviously not intentional. But it does add this feeling of, like... It does add to their size in a way. It makes them feel even more imposing. It almost like they're so big, they're breaking reality. Okay, good thing I... Oh. Why does that keep happening? Why did you drop down? Normally this does not happen. I've been able to do this fight in like the speed run in the time trial mode like very easily. But for some reason I keep messing up. I think the remake might have messed with the camera control a bit to make it a little less weighty. There we go. Finally. Okay, so I think this form... Yep, here we go. Also has a weak point on the stomach. Yeah. Definitely when you're trying to play the game faster and get those time trials, you have to learn to kind of do those like crazy jumps. Oh. Missed the point there. I've always wondered, because you can actually shoot arrows into certain points and they will actually take like a millimeter of damage. I've always wondered if you can theoretically kill... There we go, that's that taken care of. The hard mode version of this is interesting because one of the weak points is actually on that other arm. So the only way to do it is to get from here. Oh, he's belly dancing, trying to get me off. And jump to the other arm. But yeah, this game just does... It just... Oh! How did I fall there? I was holding the grip button. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You know, I have plenty of stamina to work with. But yeah, the way these models look still to this day impresses me. But yeah, I'd have to ask someone who knows more about the game if you can theoretically kill the bosses with just the bow. Or some of the other ranged weapons you get in the time trial. Just get the stamina back here. You can only do it in certain spots, but if you crouch, but you can only crouch if there's nothing to grip onto, you actually restore stamina quicker. And you saw when I was standing on his like torso fin, it was actually because I was crouched down, I was keeping my balance because I was low to the ground. Oh, yeah, he's really doesn't want me being up here. Oh, I think the manual explains it. Hang on. Let me jump off there. Funny enough, one of the better ways to do damage is to do that. Is to do jump-in attacks. But it's a lot more risky. I know from watching speed runs, I know that that's the better thing to do than to do the long charges because it's way quicker. Oh, shit. Oh. I don't know if this is the boss to try it on, though. Because, yeah, the head... So you have to find a moment when the boss is going to be completely still and not going to move. That was probably the moment, but we'll try on another one. Oh, poor guy. Also, there's a really subtle thing where you'll notice with a lot of the Colossi, the way their eyes look and the color of the eyes change. And the way they make them look when they die. They actually want you to feel bad, and they kind of make them more, like, sympathetic. And I think if you're quick enough here, you can, like, jump off, but I was not quick enough. Oh, so close. Yet so far. Alright. Oh yeah, you start to hear like weird voices. I wanted to do some of these because I don't know if you can tell in the time trial mode. We'll talk about it more once we do like the full playthrough, but there's a really subtle thing with this game where you might not even notice it until you're like really far into the game, but Wanda's model actually changes as the game progresses. And again, the game never calls attention to it until like the end. Alright. Yeah, it's... See, now that I'm playing it, I actually think I could, play this version all the way through. I'll admit, I thought the frame rate was worse because the most recent footage I saw of the game was the NTSC version running in progressive mode, and it did seem to run worse than this. It might also be just after playing it for a while, you acclimatize to it. Also, we can't see him yet, but yeah, aggro comes back for you. Your trusty steed. Alright, okay, well, we've got to show off how the time trial stuff works. Here we go. So, yeah. Once you've done New Game Plus, and I don't remember if the game explains this, but you come up and you press circle to pray. And it lets you do this time trial here. Here, we'll skip the cutscene here. So, time trial, you do not get your New Game Plus stats. You, you won't see them yet, but this is how much health you would have at the start of the game, and when you do the later fights, it's like, this is how much you would have on your first playthrough. But yeah, I think the quick way to do this is just to, like, get close and immediately get on to the leg here. There we go. Yeah, see, that's how much health, that's how much stamina you start with. There we go. You have to be careful because you actually, oh, I messed up there. You actually are in control in some of those cutaway cutscenes. That's probably an issue. There we go. Alright, stamina come back. There we go. So yeah, this is what it looks like at the start of the game. Plus with no I don't think you get like any of the fruit upgrades. I mean, the main thing with the health is just once you have like the really big health bar, you can survive some like really big drops or being directly hit. But the health, you know, the health is almost like a non-thing because if a boss this big fucking steps on you, like, you know, that's it. You're dead. Alright, let's see if we can pull off a jump stab. No! Nope! That's not how you do that. Yeah, there's a lot of momentum with how the jump works. That's an example of, like, because of the way the Colossus was moving, it pushed me, like, it gave me this, like, crazy jump height. From what I understand, it's like some of the speedrun strats involve using those to do, like, really crazy platforming. From what I understand, that third boss there with the blunt kind of sword, the strat there is, like, you launch yourself off the sword and you land on its head, like, immediately. Funny enough, I don't know if you actually need to do both stabs. I think you can jump to this bit after the first stab. Alright. Sorry, Fuzzy Butt. Please excuse me, Fuzzy. Alright, let's give this another attempt. Also, I've really got to think. I do want to do a stream tomorrow for my birthday, but I really don't know what to play. It's a random thing. I was either going to just play a bunch of old PlayStation 2 games, like just quick looks of games that I wouldn't do all the way through. Or, let's see if we can actually do it this time. There we go. If you look, you can see the sword, like, digs in deeper. Wanda has to, like, put in more effort to pull the sword out when you do that. Whereas when you do this one, it, like, immediately comes out. Also, I think, like, doing mini stabs is actually better because if you do them right, you can, like, stun lock certain bosses. Oh, I gotta be careful. There we go. It's okay. 2 minutes. Definitely you can do that boss fight quicker. For some reason, when you press the aggro button there, it zooms in on the tentacles. That's interesting. I assume what it is that when you press that button, it just zooms to kind of like where he's stored off screen. Alright, there we go. Funny enough, though, it said my best time was... Weird, I'd already done that one. I didn't know that. Oh, weird. Apparently I already had done some of these. When did I do these? Or is it just counting my, like, regular... Oh, I have done some of these. Okay. I have the Whistling Arrow and the Cloak of Force. I might have to look up game FAQs because I forget what these do. Here's what the Whistling Arrow does. Which, if I remember right, is useful for some. Oh, yeah, this guy. I'll show this one not time trial mode. That's probably one of my least favorite ones, and it's mainly because you have to kind of manipulate its AI. Ah, here's one I've not done. So how many have I done? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I mess with any of the others? Oh, that one wasn't close enough. Okay, so I've done 4 of them in this save file. Let me load up game FAQs. That is one thing the remake does better, is it tells you in game what these do. The original game does not tell you. Also, it's a nice thing. I believe you can carry over items between normal and hard mode, which you can't do in this or the HD version, because the HD version's based on this PS2 version. Alright, let's look. Oh yeah, that's a PS. Okay, so that's PS4. Alright, no, that's hard time rewards. Oh yeah, there is some extra stuff in the remake. That's why we might stream it Sunday. There's like extra collectibles that gives you a new sword. Alright, do any of these say what these do? No. Let me find a guide. Let's see if one of the guides say. Nope. In-depth guys. Lizard fruit location. Guides for the demo. Let's see. No. Trying to find a guide that just says what the items do. Let's look at this one. Secrets. Maybe the secrets section here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the jump stin. Just, yeah. How to climb aggro differently. Funny enough, that's how I've been doing it every time. Here's the proper way you're supposed to do it. Hang on. Like that. But I tend to do the one where you jump at him. Yeah, more colors for aggro. The fruits and the lizards. Have black tails are useless. On the save shrines, though, you can find lizards that have glowing white tails, yeah. Alright, time attacks. Haha. Oh, so I didn't even have it on, but apparently the Cloak of Force, this one gives you way more damage, and I do remember messing with it in the PS3 version, and it really does. Alright, let's do some more time trial stuff though. So let's do this one. It's like every 2 you get an item. It just says give you more strength. I think the item descriptions are a bit better. But yeah, the hard mode, you actually get different items for the time attacks. Though some of them are the same. Oh, interesting. Oh wow, so you like start here? Oh. That's right. Interesting start point on this one. You know what? I think I'm just gonna... We'll move over to hard mode for a bit. Because on normal mode here, let's see. The 6 Colossi defeated reward is just a Mask of Strength. The interesting stuff, the Lizard Detection Stone and the Fruit Tree map, you don't get until 8 and 10. Cloak of Deception, that's 14, 16. Hard mode, though, is where you get some, like, really interesting stuff there. The Harpoon of Thunder is a different long-range weapon. The Sword of the Sun is a sword that reflects light even in dark places. Also, you get the Fruit Tree map, Lizard Stone Detection, the Parachute, and you get a sword from Eco. That I remember. You know what? Speaking of, they mention that the lizards show up at the save shrines, but I think they do actually show up outside of save shrines as well. But funny enough, I think there is a lizard at this save shrine. It's just hard to see. Yeah, for some reason around... This is actually where the worst frame rate is around the bottom here. It must be because of, like... It doesn't unload all the assets inside there for a while. You know what, though? I'm looking. I don't know if there is a lizard here. At least I'm not noticing one. I really want to just show them off. Just say, oh, here, yeah, this is what it looks like. But yeah, it must be that it doesn't unload the inside of the temple until you get to a certain spot. I don't know if any of the trees here have fruit on them. Like I said, you have to get those maps. Alright. So yeah, I don't think I have enough stamina to do it, but I just want to show it off a little bit. Here it is. From what I read, I think you have to do, to do this legit, I think you have to do maybe like 3+ playthroughs, not included like certain lizards you find. But the whole gimmick with this is that... Also, this might actually not be the right area to start. Now that I'm looking. No, I don't think this is actually the part you're supposed to climb up. But you can see, even with the stamina I have, this is already, like, really low. Let's get on aggro then. Okay, it's not there. Where is the point you climb up at? There you go, there's the long bridge. Unless that is where it is and there's just like a weird jump you're supposed to do. Oh no, here it is. I think this is where you're supposed to climb up. Let's have a... Yeah, that's definitely it. So I don't know how you do it actually. There's apparently like... I think that's it. If you look... When you jump like that... The stamina meter doesn't degrade like the same way. Though I don't think I'm doing it right. I don't know if it's fixed in the PAL version or something weird like that. But supposedly... Oh. I wonder if that's just because the buttons are analog and they're wearing a bit. But yeah, look how far this climb is, and we're already... we're already not making it. Yeah. Like, look how high up we are already. Yeah, we're not making that. I do find the fall damage bit funny. Like, as long as you grip, you can fall, like, maximum velocity and you won't die. Even though that realistically would break your fingers and your arms probably if you did that. Alright, I'm gonna head to this one, but we're gonna save and then we're gonna load up hard mode. But we'll go this way, because I think if I go this way, I can find a save shrine. But yeah, I'd have to think. I'm trying to think like what would be like some of the best looking games on PlayStation 2. Like in terms of what they're going for. Because I could see someone arguing that maybe like Tekken 4 or Tekken 5. Because of, you know, their high frame rate, but also like their really detailed models and stuff like that. But what they're rendering on screen is not super impressive, whereas I think like God of War 1 and 2 we're doing a bit more. Also, I could be wrong, but I think if you look at the map here, so there, the map shows you like where you've been. So the way the clouds work is a lot of these clouds actually will move. If you can see these green things, those are actual save shrines that I've been to. But when you defeat Colossi, it actually removes clouds. Though not all the clouds can be removed. Some of them are like hard-coded in. Which, based on videos I was looking up, there's a... I think he's well known in the community at least, but there's a YouTuber called Nomad Colossus. And he's the one who does like all the... like the big... Oh, you know what? There isn't a save this way. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna quit game then. Yeah, those first couple of Colossi, I mean, you don't travel that far out. Here, we'll watch this full intro. So we can appreciate it, because it's just really awesome. Also, if you know, when you played the demo, this was like the first thing you saw. And just like the direction of it, the music. But also it kind of like the questions it makes you ask. And funny enough, I don't believe this is a video file. So if you played the demo... all these assets were in the demo, even though this is an area you never go to. I think you might see a little bit of this area in some other cutscenes, but I won't talk about them in case anyone's avoiding potential spoilers, or you know, we'll hold them off for when we do the proper playthrough. Ideally, I would really like to do it. This whole idea I have of like playing two versions at the same time. So the way I would have to do it, the problem is that obviously I don't have two capture cards, so I would probably have to emulate the PS2 version, and I think I could do it this way, is have the PlayStation 3 on with a DualShock 3, but also have it USB'd into a PC at the same time. As weird as it sounds, if you have like a wireless like Bluetooth controller synced to a console and wired into a computer, it can control both at the same time. I don't know if it would work on my PC, or like if that is a problem that's fixed, or if it only works with certain consoles. If I could get that working... There we go, there's the entrance into Forbidden Land. If I could get that working, then that's how I would do it. But obviously the main issue is you have to contend with that AI can be different between both versions. I don't know how much randomness there is in, like, when you... Okay, so when you play some old games, the randomness like, kind of like random number generation and kind of what dictates how the gameplay. Some of it's randomized on boot. Some of it is, like, based on inputs you do. Like, it's a set pattern. And if you, like, always move the exactly same way, you'll always get the same outcome. But obviously being frame perfect for an entire playthrough is impossible. There's some good videos out there that kind of demonstrate how this works, where, like, if you kill an enemy on a different frame, like if you shoot a shot one frame earlier, you would get a health drop, but then if you shoot later, you don't. Just because, you know what, probably the best example is if you look up, there's a YouTuber, Decino, D-E-C-I-N-O, and he talks about how the RNG works in the original Doom engine. He brings up that, funny enough, that's the same Colossus there. He talks about how that works because it's, the way the RNG works in that game, it's a repeated pattern. So it always plays out the same way, and you can... And all the weird quirks of how it works, because it's a set randomness. I don't know how AI stuff is decided in this, though. Oh yeah, because this is hard mode. Here's the harpoon. I don't think I've got any other... Yeah, I've only got the harpoon now. I did try the third fight, hard mode. It did not go very well. I had a lot of trouble with it. Kept falling off the guy. Alright, where are we going? Alright, in there. Alright, I'll do one of these here just to kind of show it off. One thing I haven't checked is I don't know... We'll have to see if you do New Game Hard Mode. I don't know if New Game Hard Mode keeps your old stats like this has. This isn't a hard playthrough second. This is just a second playthrough start, but it's in hard mode. Do. But the idea of being able to play, like, 2 versions at the same time, just to, you know, and see how well I could have them synced up, is a fascinating idea to me. But also, I don't know if stuff like, if the frame drops actually causes a game to run slower. So obviously, as soon as, like, if that happened, and as soon as it desynced, like, the other one, once one desynced, like, whichever one I was focusing on is just screwed at that point, you know? Though I know that's kind of the general challenge of those style of challenge playthroughs. Oh, not that way. There's a weird kind of fog, actually. It's actually kind of hard to see. There we go. But yeah, this is an example of, like, aggro. He'll go the way forward here. But he actually kind of auto steers himself a bit, but he won't gallop faster. Because, you know, that's dangerous. He actually, like, pays attention. Yeah, this boss arena is, like, one of the examples of not having, sunlight always available to see weak points and stuff like that. One thing I don't know, and I'll have to do some research on this, I think there are people who have kind of done... I'm curious about this. Let's see, where is... Let's see if I can actually hit the fleshy part. Nah, not really. Oh no, there we go. I'm not sure what the actual use for the harpoon is. Like I said, I know it does more damage. Alright. Sorry, aggro. So... Also, I will say, once you know kind of like the gimmicks of how these fights go, they can go like very quick. Alright, well that's a sign. That's where the first weak point is. Yeah, this guy has 2 though. So... the puzzle here is how to climb on this guy. And one of the things you notice here is there's these tunnels. This is one of the boss fights I kind of find frustrating because you have to rely on its AI. Especially if you time the time trial mode. You can see in the normal mode, the time trial for this is like over 6 minutes. And it's because you can be waiting like a long time. Okay, I've got to get it to move. Hang on. But you see, if you go into the tunnels, it will like wait for you to come out of one. There you go. I actually did a tiny bit of damage to it. But what you want to do is get its attention and hop in the tunnel here. I don't know what causes it, but sometimes when you come in this tunnel, the lighting will like kind of break and it will look like pitch black in here. Yeah, here it is. I don't know why that happens. I think that even happens in the HD version. It's got something to do with like where the Colossus is. It seems to affect the lighting a bit. Okay, let's see. Is he doing it? What's he doing? Okay, yeah, this is where this one gets a bit frustrating. So, if you look at it, the only place you can really climb up... Also, if you wait long enough, Dormin will talk to you and he will give you he'll give you like hints, and I think the longer you take, the more obvious the hints are. Here we go. If you look, the only real climbable surface on this guy is this here that you can reach. This back thing, but you have to wait for it to crouch down. Here it goes. Oh yeah, this bit is kind of awkward for some reason. The platforming can be weird here. There we go. Aggro, what are you doing? There we go. If you're very unlucky, I think when you really don't understand how the AI works there, this boss can take like a long time. Oh god. Nope. Yeah, because this is hard mode. Oh. The main difference is like the bosses will have more health. Look at him, they're trying their best to get me off, but... The bigger thing is that they have multiple weak points that they don't... Sometimes I think like multiple, but it's the main thing is that they just have different weak points. And usually, also more health. No, maybe not more health, but obviously like they take more... Yeah, I think they just have more health. Like once you get rid of one glyph... Hold on, we did pick hard mode, didn't we? Well, yeah, here's... For some reason, this boss fight has a real low frame rate. Yep, there we go. That's that point. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, yep. I remember this. You've got to be really careful in this boss fight. Funny enough, like, as rare as stuff like this happening is, they do kind of program in, like, moments that seem to accommodate for it. Okay, you can get back. There we go. I'm trying to remember, though, where it's, Oh, yeah, there it is. You know what, though? I'm starting to think I'm not playing this on hard mode. I thought this was a hard mode playthrough, but... Oh. Nope. That's bad. Oh. Oh. Ah. Hang on. Ah. There's no way to check, really, is there? It would be cool if there was some way to kind of cheese it from aggro to jump and kind of grab the tail fin, but I don't think you can. So, yeah, if you're doing time trial and that happens, you're basically screwed. You have to restart a fight. Okay, no, I think this is hard mode because there's two, I think there's a glyph on each shoulder, but they don't have a lot of, they only take like one stab. Okay, so yeah, so he's coming towards me. Oh, okay, I think it gets darker in here because they're trying to simulate, like, soil and dust being kicked up. Really feel bad for Aggro in this fight. He just feels like he's freaking out the whole time. Alright, let's watch. Yeah, he's like... This one's not happy with you. I'm trying to think which of the Colossi you actually run into. There's a couple that are just passive, though, that when you actually pay attention, you realize are like, oh, no, this thing was not even, like, trying to hurt you. I think some of the flying ones are like that. But yeah, even though this one's in a closed area, it actually seems to have, like, one of the more, dodgy frame rates in some spots. Oh. No, considering the amount of stamina I have, I probably shouldn't be running around so carefree. Oh. Alright. Yeah, you can tell a glyph is about to disappear because they'll glow brighter before disappearing. Okay, yeah, so this is the hard mode version of this. Oh. Oh. You know, I was trying to do the downward stab, but I realized that's not a great spot for it. Oh, I waited too long. That's the beginner trap for the charges, is waiting too long. There we go. But I think for that boss, normally there's only the glyph on the head, because getting up onto it is more the challenge and trying to figure out how to do it. But yeah, I think... Yeah, see, this is an example of just... Where's Aggro gone? He's just gone. Yeah, this arena for some reason is like really laggy compared to some of the others. I wonder why that is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they show 3 defeated. One thing that's a little annoying is they don't tell you how many time trials you've done. I completely forgot I'd done a bunch of time trials on the normal mode. But that's an example of a bit being harder. The thing is though, I think if I did do a hard mode playthrough... Oh, hi Aggro. One thing I'm not sure about is I could be wrong. I don't know if her model changes as you do the game. Because it could be in my head, but I feel like she gets like more color in her skin as you defeat Colossi, but I could be wrong about that. Alright, we're gonna skip that Dormin one because it doesn't matter too much. I think you can use the bow here to kind of zoom in a bit. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think at this point we might even be able to notice though a little bit that Wanda's appearance is changing. It's kind of hard to tell because the camera is so... It kind of wants to do its own thing. It's actually really hard to get it close. You can point it down like this. Yeah, you can see a little. I won't say where, but you can. There is a bit. This is the main spot though. If you come up to here, they purposely pull the camera in, and you can get the camera up in here. But yeah, if I pick just like a random one here. Let's see. Oh, 7.5 minutes on that. I know the remake also changes some of the times. But yeah, if I come into this fight, I think I'll be able to show very quickly the hard mode. Is, yeah, see, lower health, lower grip. The main thing is grip. Where is this guy gone? Oh shit. And that almost killed me. Luckily you don't have to worry about it. Aggro will like get a bit kind of bent out of shape, but he's actually invincible. Straight up, I don't think his coding even allows him to, allows him to die. Huh. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to try this for too long. Here. I'm just going to end time attack mode here. Because some of those early ones, I do remember how to do pretty well. Obviously, this is a game I've played a lot. I think it's one of the things that's kind of sad about there only being a 16. And there's no, like, direct sequel to it, because the idea of doing more Colossi that have new puzzles to them such a cool idea to me, and it's not something we'll ever really see outside of games that have kind of took inspiration from this. Legit, I do think this game did have like a big impact on the series. I think on gaming in general. Though God of War did it to like a somewhat of an extent, I think God of War 2 is the one that kind of took inspiration from it. It's when you start, but this game felt like popularized the idea of, at least in 3D games, because there were some 2D games that attempted it, but this was when you really started to see boss fights that were huge. I think Bayonetta is like a good example. Has the first Bayonetta. Bayonetta 2, I don't quite like the way it's done in that game. Because they're big, but then you don't fight them. Like, yeah, Bayonetta's small, but you get, like, big attacks, so you kind of just end up fighting them at the same size. But Bayonetta 1, you're, like, running on top of bosses, and you're cutting off specific weak points and things like that. Devil May Cry 4 has a really big boss, but it's actually done like pretty badly because it's more done in this style where it's like a puzzle with specific weak points you have to attack, which is like very anti stylish action. We'll get to that one day. But also like Zelda, like after this, I'm pretty sure like Twilight Princess got inspiration from this, and that's why you started seeing like Colossus size boss fights in Zelda games. Yeah, it's kind of funny that this area, like when you're outside, just outside, once you get into the temple, it kind of improves. Like there's somewhere around here where it must unload enough of the outside world that the frame rate's okay. But when you're like just on the cusp of this area, here we go, like here, and most of the outside area existing, the frame rate like really dies. But again, this game is like going for so much, just the sense of scale. I'd be really curious, for example, like how this map size stacks up to like a Grand Theft Auto game, but I'm pretty sure like this scale-wise, you know what? We might be able to figure that out. Okay, let me look through my bookmarks. I should have this bookmarked. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Yep, found it. I highly recommend this website. There is a website. No, I believe this guy has like multiple. Yeah, he has a YouTube, a Twitter. I believe he's even streamed some stuff. I'm gonna link it in chat, pin it. This is like one of my favorite things that a person just does. This is howbigisthemap.com. There we go. You know what? While we're doing this, I'm gonna capture the window. So let me do that. Because maybe we'll be able to find some stuff here. Give me a sec. Add window capture. Okay. Perfect. Let me just more perfect. There we go. So yeah, this is How Big Is the Map. What is howbigisthemap.com? This is one guy. As far as I know, no one else contributes to this. I could be wrong. But this is a guy who doesn't really play games. All he does is he finds, like, games with, like, big map sizes. And then he just goes, how long does it take to walk across it? How long does it take to run? How long does it take to drive? And stuff like that. Let's see if Shadow of the Colossus is in here. Hang on. Sorry, Shadow of the... maybe it isn't. Oh, no, he's not done it. It might be one of those things where it would be really hard to show off because the map is actually, like, quite restricted. But, you know, for example, if I search San Andres... Then we've got drive across, sprint across. But here we go. But he records the whole process. Here, we'll play the video. I'll just mute it because I'm not capturing audio anyway. But he'll find, like, the furthest point. You know, because corner to corner is, like, the longest distance. And he finds the furthest point, and he just... off he goes. And it's funny with some games. He's done, for example, he has done Elden Ring. Sometimes it takes a lot of work. Because I think sometimes he has to hack games. I don't know if he does stuff to, let's say, like, make himself invincible. But I know he's talked about doing some where one of the things he had to deal with was random encounters killing him while playing stuff and having to segment. Because there are some maps in some games that are just legit ridiculous. I think it's like Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall is the one where it's like it takes a week to travel from across that map because that map is legit way too big. I don't know what they were thinking. Because most of the content in that game is randomly generated anyway. But yeah, this mentions in running it takes just about half an hour. In the same way we are overwhelmed by the enormous games like Grand Theft Auto 5, The Witcher 3, Just Cause 3, we were overwhelmed by San Andreas back in 2004. Now, let's run across the map and check out if it's really that big. Honestly, by today's standards, this map is not big. I remember, look at, because he's got a video that talks about, like, oh, here's the map sizes. And also, people have just done videos in general talking about the different map sizes in the Grand Theft Auto games. I think the map of San Andreas is about the size of just the city in Grand Theft Auto 5. Because Grand Theft Auto 5 is kind of just, there's the Los Santos City, and then there's, like, all the backcountry stuff at the top. Though, there's way less in it because it's a way more, like, spread apart map. So, for a lot of reasons, people don't like it as much. I wonder how he would do Shadow of the Colossus, actually. It looks like he hasn't done it. What happens if I just search Colossus? Colossus. Nope. Okay. Might have to contact him and ask and say, hey. The problem is, here we'll close this for now. But still, check out that guy. Absolute legend. I think some people have even asked him, like, how much do you even play these games? And he openly admitted, he's like, you know what, barely. Because this takes so much time. But I think it's because he just, like, he likes games, but he's not really into playing them. He just likes looking at maps and stuff. Which, if that's the case, that's fine. You know, like, more power to you. You know, while we're here, let me show off one thing. I've never actually done it before. There's a really weird thing you can do in this game, and I don't know why you would ever do it. But let's try it. Alright, let's, But one of the things you'll notice if we look around, you can see there's these spires in the air, like light spires going straight up in the air. And those are coming from where we beat the Colossi. Like if you straight up look at the map, they match where those icons are. I think I was going to say it earlier and I forgot to say it. One of the differences I think in the remake is I believe the map, not only is it... Obviously it's more higher res, but I believe it's actually far more detailed and accurate to the geometry. Like you can see like specific like valleys and hills and stuff like that. Or narrow chasms and all that jazz. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. There's some input you can do that will make Aggro go up on his hind legs and then he'll go into like full sprint. I just don't know how to do it. Playing this again though is fun. Also reminds me of my general thing where I have to moan when people talk. You know, it comes up frequently to me just because anyone who's watched, you may saw it in the Scuff era. I'm kind of tempted to revisit one of them in Halloween, around October, Halloween era. But you know, like I started in the Scuff era streaming Silent Hill games. And obviously, you know, it's the Silent Hill 2 remake, and they've talked about how they're quote unquote modernizing by changing the camera system, and they're like, oh, you know, because you can't do fixed or on-rail camera systems anymore. Those are outdated. And it's like, bitch, you fucking put out a game a couple years ago that uses one. But, you know, this is a good example. The remake of this still uses those camera angles. It still will, like, take control of you. Yeah, so here's... And again, this is an interesting, like, story thing, because you I think you can, when you finish the game, you do see these models. But the fact that you can actually come back to where the Colossi, like, where each Colossus fell, and they've, like, been turned into stone and, like started to meld into the environment. But this... I've, for the record, never done this. I remember reading up you can do this. But I don't know why you would. Because if you want to replay the Colossus fight, just do the time trial. But for some reason, if you know, work your way back to where the Colossi was, you get this reminiscent film mode. I don't know if this is just something that, like, the dev teams like, because there is also a, like, there's like a film noise grain filter mode in Eco as well. That might be missing from the NTSC version. I think I looked up some more info about that and found out the reason why so much is missing from the NTSC version is it was super rushed to meet release date. I'm trying to pay attention if this filter... I think this filter might even be affecting the frame rate a bit. But it definitely makes it harder to see. I really don't know why you would do this. I believe... I forget if it's the PS3 or the PS4 version, but there is a trophy associated with doing this. For some reason. Ah! Yeah. I think that's my controller there. It's an official PlayStation 2 controller, but because the buttons are pressure sensitive, some of them are a little worn out. Where if you're not like pushing hard enough, it'll kind of unregister sometimes. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is hard mode, right? You can see, look at that placement. I think when I did this one the first time, I like jumped from the head onto the arm here. But they put some of these glyphs in like really interesting spots in the hard mode. And you have to do some like very interesting stuff. Because if you look, there's no like direct path onto there. You have to jump to get to that one. Oh. Okay, that was lucky. I didn't jump well enough. But I've never done this game all the way through on hard mode. So, I think when we do the full playthrough, and yeah, we'll do, you know, PS3 version. Oh. I guess the reminiscent mode is here if you want to redo the boss fights, but with all your upgrades. So, which you can't do that in the time trial mode. Because you do so much damage when you can charge the sword way further. There we go. Alright. This might end up being a short... No, I was going to say this might end up being a short stream, but I think I don't have really much more to show. Because I want to spend the time loading up, like setting up the PS3 and all that stuff. What's probably going to happen then? Maybe once we're done with Metroid... I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll, when we do the playthrough, we'll do the PS3 version of this. And I can't really show off the PS4 version because I don't have it installed. That would have been probably good to show off. I'll make sure to do that for, when we want to compare it. But I do want to stream the remake version all the way through as well someday, but that I'll probably hold off for a while, because you know, once you've played the game through once recently, you can, you know, really trivialize getting through the bosses like very quickly. All right. Okay, I think that's gonna do it for today, because I just wanted this to be like a quick look at this version. It is fascinating seeing how this run on original hardware. I think having played it now, I can confirm that, yes, if you put this in progressive scan mode, it runs a lot worse. Hang on a sec. Hang on. There we go. I don't know enough to say, but I imagine... It kind of makes sense to me, though, because there are PlayStation 2 games that can actually output in 1080i. As ridiculous as that sounds. But none of them can output higher than 480p. And I believe that's because it does take more power. It must be a bigger drain on the system. I wonder if I skip... You know, I'll let this play. There is one more Attract video. There is a second one that can play. but we'll have to wait a bit. But we'll let this play while I do my kind of like send-off stuff. But yeah, for sure, when we do the full playthrough, I think I am just gonna do the PS3 HD collection version, even with the minor difference. I don't know what is caused by it. I don't know if anyone's ever figured it out, but for some reason, your grip in certain situations will decrease faster in the PS3 version. I always heard for a long time, people were like, oh, it's based on the PAL version, and that's why it's worse, and it messed with the controls. But as far as I'm aware, the controls are the same. And when I look up differences now between, like, the HD and the PS2 version, no, they never mention, like, oh, the PAL version, or they mention differences between the PS2 PAL and NTSC version. They don't mention any major control differences. But I always heard this claim that, like, oh, the PAL version, like, not even the button layout, but just, like, the feel, I guess. Always heard it played different, and I don't think that was ever true. But maybe I'm wrong, but I can't find any documentation online. And people have, believe me, ripped this game apart, ripped the demos apart, ripped, like, multiple preview builds apart. In fact, I was talking about there being cut Colossi and the dream of wanting to play a version that had more. Early on, when this was starting development, Ueda, the, like, creative lead dev on this, on, you know, the free Team Eco games, he actually wanted to add extra Colossi to that version, and then found out, like, oh, that's way outside the scope of the budget we have. And also, I think he thought about it more and was like, oh, I don't want to kind of mess with the original vision. He's kind of weird because he said that, but also, I think someone asked him about, like, cut content or leftover assets that people were found hidden in the files or out of bounds. And he said he doesn't like players doing that because it kind of messes, like, you know, you're not supposed to see that stuff. So people, like, making, like, exploring it. But it's like, it's weird you say that, like, oh, people, you know, like, making videos about, like, there's a whole dam area that's left out of bounds that using, like, glitches and stuff you can get to. And people have even, like, hacked and added in, like, collision to let you walk around on it. Again, check out Nomad Colossus on YouTube if you want to find that. I don't know, but that user has, like, content going back a decade of all the weird stuff they found. But I've forgotten the name of it. Let me see if I can find it, because I thought I had a desktop icon for it. Okay, I think it's called Beyond the Forbidden Land. Yeah, that's it. There is a project called Beyond the Forbidden Land, and I believe it's still, like, in very, very early stages. But the goal of the project is I don't think it's a full-on remake, but they're essentially bringing over this version onto PC, but re-adding the main cut content back into the game. And that's I think that's specifically, like, the 6 to 8 known cut Colossi, where there's actual, like, screenshots or video or files left over from old versions. I think the project's, like, pretty expansive. I think they also plan on, like, letting you change visual styles. Here's the thing, if you wanted to do a, like, how big is the map for this game, you would probably have to hack the game to let you control the bird here and go from corner to corner. Huh, that's a shame. I'd love if that just ran for, like, ages, but there we go. I haven't messed with it yet, because to use it, you need to point to an official ISO, and I haven't dumped my copy yet. I believe because it uses some assets, but also just to prove ownership, so, you know, people can't claim it's, you know, like a fan project that pirates assets onto PC. I mean, I don't know if, I don't, you know, if Sony ever did go after them, I don't know how much I'd protect them, but, you know, here's hoping. But my PC doesn't have a disk drive, so I'd have to, like, dump it on a different one, or... No, actually, funny enough, I think if I set it up right, I'd have to buy a network adapter for my PlayStation 2. I think you can dump games and send them over network while dumping them on a PS2. I just need to look into how you do that. But, yeah, I just haven't messed with it yet. I wouldn't stream that, though, because I believe it's, like, still very early on. And a lot of it, they're still just, like, they haven't necessarily even got, like, the full game controls working in engine yet. But it's an interesting project. And, yeah, the idea of, you know, like, new Colossi content. That would be a huge dream come true. Just to try out Colossi that, you know, we've never seen. But, you know, here's hope, because, you know, a lot of the reason stuff gets cut is either because, you know, the developers decide, oh, this is redundant, it's too much like a thing that's already in the game, or maybe it just wasn't running well, or maybe it turned out mechanically just wasn't that fun. There can be, like, a lot of different reasons. But, yeah, it's interesting to see that. Because, yeah, from what I understand, The Last Guardian, in terms of its gameplay, is far more closer to Eco than this. And, you wouldn't really want a sequel. You'd want, like, a spiritual sequel to this, I think. Because I think story-wise, there's no... Without, you know, giving out too much, there wouldn't really be any story reason to have a sequel with the same gameplay. And I don't think you could really fudge a story that was just like, oh, there's a different land that has more Colossi. Like, don't think that would work. But yeah, I'm going to call it for now. I'm going to try and think more about what I want to do for tomorrow. But I do want to do a stream tomorrow. I would really like to mess around on my birthday and just do stuff. Though I still don't really know what I would do. I might play a lot, like... I think the main plan is, like, messing with a lot of, random PlayStation 2 games. I'm kind of tempted, actually, to maybe see about playing Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst that day. Because that's also going back to this era of the kind of games I enjoyed. Funny enough, I watched Mac Muscle's video, What Happened in the GameCube. And it reminded me that, like, the GameCube had a network adapter, and I think only 2 fucking games used it. I think the only games that used it were Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, and Phantasy Star Online Episode 3, the card battle one, which was a GameCube exclusive. I don't think any other... You know what? I just remembered something. I think I just remembered something about that opening bit. You know what? I was going to wrap up. Let me do something quick. Okay, let me load up my hard mode save. Yeah, I think we are getting some slightly better load times. Because I'm not running this off the disc, and luckily this game didn't need the, like, accurate read speeds to work. Though it might be causing some issues. I'm noticing some sound that I think might be, like, out of sync. Oh, nope. It's the wrong item. Oh, oh yeah, I always forget. I always do, like, left and right. Let's see. Interestingly, none of the, like, saves are listed on the map here. I want to find a different save shrine. Let's see. You know what? I think there is one this way. Hold on, let me check. Funny enough, I think even without getting to that point in the game, you actually can explore pretty much anywhere. The only place that I think's really locked off is where the final Colossus is. Because there's a gate there that only opens, Oh yeah, here we go. There's a save point. We can use that one. Also, while I'm here, let's see if I can find one. So yeah, these are the save shrines. There's a couple of these all around. Unless I did do this in this save file, but I don't think I did. No, not in there. Oh! There it is. Okay. Shit, where'd you go? There you are, little bugger. Okay, did I get it? I think I got it, yeah. Alright, here we go. These are the lizard tails you want. Yeah, so that gives you increased grip. A lot of them appear around the save shrines. Like, I think every save shrine has one. But I think there are other spots they show up at. But there are these, like, mid-area save shrines. And funny enough, like, because we haven't really seen it, but once you start getting further into the game, is once it starts taking, like, a lot longer to get to the bosses. Like, some of the ones near the end of the game, you can actually get, like, quite lost. Because a lot of the challenge starts to get like, okay, so the light will point you where the boss is, but not necessarily the way you should go. But I just want to show this quick. You can actually climb these. Which sometimes you need to do, because sometimes the lizards will not come down. It's kind of weird to me that the parachute is only in the hard mode if you, like, get to a certain point. Yeah, we get, like, a good look around. But yeah, just that scope of... Because, I think one of the main reasons why this runs so badly, if you go back to original PlayStation 2 San Andreas and you look at the draw distance, you cannot see this far. And obviously as well, like, the graphical style of San Andreas, like, is a lot more lo-fi. Like, most of the character models and details and stuff like that is stuff that's, like, even kind of... It looks like really early Dreamcast stuff kind of thing. But obviously, you know, the scope those games are doing with all their, like, AI routes and all the random dynamic events and moving parts. Also, I think... I'm looking right. I'm trying to remember if that's where another... There's like a Colossus that's in like a big lake. I'm wondering if that's where that area is. Or if that's a different lake I'm thinking of. Alright. Well, let me, quit game. But I think... Here. I don't know if I have to let that one play or not. Here, let's just leave it and see what happens. Oh, but still, this game is so special to me. I sometimes have a really hard time actually explaining why. You might notice that. Sometimes, I'm kind of at a loss of words, or I can't really put it in, but it's just... It says so much about itself. Indirectly, you know? Just in the way the world's... Here we go. Alright, so I forgot this, yeah. Every save shrine in the game has a unique attract thing. I didn't remember at first, but then once I realized that you could see aggro sleeping at the shrine, I remembered, like, oh, these are based on where your last save was. Which is kind of funny, because that means that it keeps that data in RAM when you're on the title screen. Which makes me think that this game could have some, like, very weird glitches you could probably do with that. So that kind of reminds me of the weird Zelda glitches where you can load the titles. You can, like, you can control the title screen maps and save on the title screen, and it lets you do some real crazy stuff. I think this is the only place where this song plays, by the way. It'd be nice if this just went on forever. It was just like, yeah, you watch this video. The bird takes like a looped pattern and then just comes back down. There's another one of the save shrines. I don't know if I've ever done it, but for because there's a trophy for it, there's certain spots apparently where you can jump and grab onto a bird, and though you won't fly forever because you weigh too much, it will like take you around for a while, and you can kind of like coax it to move in certain directions. I might have to look up guides of how you do that though when we mess with the PS3 version. Alright, well, that's actually going to be the end. Sorry, I wanted to show one more thing, but now we're finishing. So yeah, keep an eye on Twitter. My Twitter is the same as my Twitch name. It's just @JohnnyBagHead. I'm going to figure out something for tomorrow. If not, we'll do the birthday celebration like Tuesday. But I would like to try and do it tomorrow. I don't know. I might play some Phantasy Star Online. I might have to see if I can coax one of my friends to do it. Or we might just like look up a bunch of old like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games. The only problem is that it probably wouldn't be PS1 games, because when I like to look at old games, I like to try and look at those ones on real hardware. But I currently can only play PAL versions, and the problem is, well, I wouldn't have to worry about de-interlacing, but I would have to worry about like the aspect ratio and the game's running at ROM speeds and lower frame rate. maybe I can look at my collection and figure out, okay, these are the games that didn't have, that were actually power optimized or not. But whatever we do, and also there's a chance I might stream on YouTube instead, because I want to test it out just to see how it is. If that's the case, and I don't know if I can restream or not, I would usually restream, but you have to pay to get 1080p, which kind of bothered me. Because, like, we're at the point now where, like, 720p is almost not even considered HD anymore, which is kind of funny, because, well, you know, it still is, but whatever. But then again, I don't know if Twitch... It might be because I'm not affiliate, maybe I'm allowed to, maybe it's once you hit affiliate you're not allowed to, I don't know. But we'll figure it out, and we'll just, you know... Because I think with a birthday, the thing I like to do is reminisce about, like, try and think of what games I would have got as gifts and what kind of stuff I would have done on old birthdays. Because now I'm at the age where it's like, I'm not far off from just, I don't even want to count it anymore. It's like, this information doesn't help me. I don't need to know this. I'm not at the age now where it's like, someone can buy me a game and I'll play that game and only that game for like 50 hours because one game can keep my focus for that long. And, you know, the magic of the experience. Like, this game specifically, I've had this feeling for a very long time. If I could ever control my memories, if I could experience this game for the first time again, if someone told me, you know, I can delete one life experience from you, I would say, let me experience Shadow Colossus for the first time again. Because I like that experience, like, you know, it never feels the same again once you've done it a second time. But the way it hits you that first playthrough, and, you know, we'll talk about that more when we do the PS3 version. So yeah, there might be a bonus stream tomorrow. Just don't hold me to it, because I've got a bad track record with trying to do streams 2 days in a row. But if there is, it'll be a random birthday stream, and we'll do whatever. I don't know. But Tuesday, we'll be back with Metroid Samus Returns. I actually don't know how much of that game we've got left, but I'm pretty sure it's a longer game than AM2R. So I don't... You know, we've already done 2 streams of it, for example. Though not as long, but I think that game... I think we're only, like, halfway through. Or a bit over halfway through. I think we still, like, got quite a while. And around that time is when we'll start, like, the proper Shadow Colossus playthrough. Where we'll, like, watch all the cutscenes. But I'll probably do it on hard mode. I might even do it, like, new game hard. So, like, with the new game stats, just to make it, like, actually really hard. That's basically what it's like playing in the time trial mode. Oh! Is he going on a different path? Oh, shit. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. This game just has so many surprises. Yeah, the bird's going a different way now. Man, this game's just so cool. It's like, the world itself is the game, you know? It's like, it's not an open world game, it's just a world game. It's the best way to describe it. It's such a cool idea. Anyway. But yeah, look forward to those future streams. And any other random plans we have, I'll have to think things through. I think I'm going to do that Castlevania the Arcade stream soon. I'm going to try and get that working as best as I can, and then that'll be the weekend stream, probably. But, there we go. We'll end things here. I've been your host, JohnnyBagHead. As always. And, yeah, that's just chill stream. Anyone who lurks, anyone dropped in and out, whatever, appreciate it. Again, check out Twitter, @JohnnyBagHead. If you want to see old streams, check @JohnnyBagHeadVODs on YouTube. And I probably won't stream on that channel, though. If I do stream on YouTube, keep an eye on the Twitter. I'll tweet out the channel I'm going to stream on. But that'll be it for today. Take care, everyone. you know, keep hydrated. I need to drink more water right now, actually, so forgive me. Let me go.